Hey,
Hey.
we just saw a movie months, maybe years ago. These episodes, one of the ones you're listening to, and a couple of ones before, and maybe after this, I don't know what order you're listening to, are episodes that we did a while back before we even started the podcast, when we were just kind of tooling around with the idea, or tinkering with the idea, whatever the term is. So, yeah, if you want to see how it was in the beginning, before the land before time, we should watch that one. Then, check this one out.
Enjoy.
All right, we got. I got some port here, and we're in our pajamas.
Got some
And
water.
guess what?
Hey.
Hey, we just saw a movie.
We did.
Should we say something? The intro?
Yeah, we need to.
What should we intro with?
This is the podcast where we talk about movies that we just saw.
Yeah.
In case you didn't get that
Yeah.
from the title,
Yeah,
hey, we just saw a movie.
Yeah, we're not trying to be fancy here. We're just going to give you the title of what we are as I'm touching this money. What? I can't touch money?
It's weird.
It's weird to touch money?
Ow! No, it's weird. Ow. Oh,
What are you, Peter Griffin?
No, I just banged my knee. Ow. Oh, I banged my knee on the desk.
Just count this money. You'll feel
Just
better.
be happy. Stop talking about the money. It has nothing to do with our podcast.
Yeah, but we were. You said you wanted to chit chat, so we're chit chatting.
Okay.
I saw the money and I'm counting.
And now
it.
we're talking
I
about
took
it.
some money out just in case the world was coming to an end. We just needed a little
And
bit
then
of
we
money.
need a little bit of cash.
just to buy some water
Not much. Don't bother
from
robbing
some
us.
roving marauders. I don't know.
Roving marauders? I
Yeah.
feel like marauders would not sell us water.
Maybe that's how they're getting by. Maybe they're like nice marauders.
Maybe.
Maybe they're midnight marauders. You don't know that reference. It's okay.
I've heard those words.
I've heard the word midnight, and I've heard the words marauders, and I've heard you speak
It
before.
sounds familiar
Yeah,
together, those words.
yeah. It should.
Is it a band? Is it a music thing?
Is it a music thing? Oh wow! I hope no deep hip hop fans are listening to this. Don't attack my wife.
We're not here to talk
We're-
about music. We're here to talk
we're
about
on the world
movies.
tour.
On a what?
Muhammad, my man.
What? Okay. What did we see?
Dallas.
What? Okay. I'm Michelle.
I'm Michelle's friend. I'm
That's-
mommy's friend.
That's my husband, Josh.
Oh, you gonna let that cat out of the bag? Yeah,
All
we didn't tell anybody in this episode that I'm
Well, that's not, we
related to you through binded contract.
don't- Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you wanted the small talk. What are we small talking about?
I don't know. I don't know. Okay.
I already talked about money,
Yeah, it's money.
and then
You
you,
know
didn't
what?
know nothing
You know,
about
here's some small
Midnight
talk.
Marauders.
Do we want to talk about the previews we watched? And
Did we watch
also-
any previews?
Yeah, we saw the one that you hate.
Oh, I don't even know what
I
it
don't
is.
remember what it's
the one
called.
with the Stranger Things kid and the really skinny chick from
That's the
*Halt and
Stranger
Catch Fire*.
Things kid?
Yeah,
That's
Halt-
not That's not Timothy. What's his face?
Oliphant.
No, Timothy Chalamet?
No, it's the kid from Stranger Things.
Really?
The one who has a rock band in real life.
Really?
Really? Really?
Really?
Really?
What?
Yes, it's him.
I can't even look it up because I don't know what this movie's called.
Just
The Turning?
just
Turning?
put what's her name? Her name is Mackenzie something. She's
Mackenzie.
If you guys have it, yeah, it's her name. You just put
Whoops.
B into Google. Yeah, you just got Cardi B for some reason. Yeah, Mackenzie is her name. Just do Mackenzie, or whatever. Yeah, I'm sick of this preview.
No, I think it's called The Turning. Let's see.
Okay,
Oh,
that's fine.
Mackenzie
Yeah,
Davis.
Mackenzie Davis, yeah.
How did you? Oh, because she was from.
She's
you
in
just said Halt and
she's
Catch
in
Fire.
*Halt and Catch Fire*, man.
Okay.
Come
All
on.
right, all right.
That's a
Oh,
classic. That's
Finn-
a slept-on classic.
Finn Wolfhard.
Yeah.
That does not
That's a
sound like
crazy
a real name at all. But then also the little girl.
He definitely sounds like somebody who either is in a book or wrote a book.
Listen to all these names. Mackenzie Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly normal. Mackenzie's kind of a
No, it's not really normal. But go
hipster
ahead.
name.
Yeah.
Then we have Finn Wolfhard.
Yeah.
Brooklyn Prince.
This should be something in a game show where somebody would lose all their money. Like, are these names of people? Like, none of them are names of people. Oh, you just lost $8.5 million.
Yeah. Like really, Finn Wolfhard?
And Keegan
Is that his
Egglin,
real name?
Eglin.
Karen Egan. That's
Egan.
more normal. That's a normal
He was in
name.
Spider-Man in 2002? Who did he play? Like a baby on the street?
Maybe. Oh, he's from Vancouver. We like Vancouver.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that preview is horrible.
Yeah, okay.
But who knows? We might end
We
up
might
watching
end up
it.
watching it, so
We
we'll
saw
see.
Hobbs and Shaw, so whatever.
Yeah.
We ain't got no shame.
Here's some other chit chat. Because, here everything is reserved seating.
Mm-hmm.
So we tend to be those people that roll in like right as the movie's starting.
Yeah, we watch too many movies to watch previews.
So what, how do we feel about that? Is there an etiquette
How do we feel
to that?
about what?
Should we be getting there earlier so we can watch previews?
We don't owe anybody anything.
Do people care that we have to climb over them to get to our seats because we try to get middle?
The only thing I care about previews is shut your mouth. Everybody shut your mouth. The only thing you could do is like, it's cool when somebody's like, man, I'd see that, or man, it's crazy, or that looks like it sucks. But people just acting like the previews aren't important and they're on their phones, full brightness, and like, oh man, you know what? Blah, blah, blah. My daughter was this. And it's like, shut your mouth. That's all. That's my only feeling.
So you feel like once the previews start, the movie has started.
Once the previews start,
be quiet.
Be quiet up until you leave the theater. Like even at the credits, like you'll try to talk normal volume of the credits. I'm like, shh. Some people want to enjoy the credits.
All right.
Or they want to hear the music and they don't want to hear anybody talking. So I feel like when you're in that room, don't talk like at a normal volume.
All right. So if you're still inside voice.
Yes. And
library inside
and if you're
voice.
elderly, lower your voice even more.
Yeah.
And if your friend or spouse can't hear you very well because you're elderly, don't talk at all.
Just hold it.
Just don't talk.
Hang on to it.
Because you're loud. You're loud, old people. You're loud. Let me say it. You are loud, old people.
Like, hey, did you see that?
Yeah. No, it's not, hey, did you see that? It's like, hey, did you see that, Megan?
Hey.
Did you?
Hey, what's happening?
Yeah. What did he say? And you're like, oh my goodness. Get it. And what are those things? The earpiece or whatever. There's no shame in it. Like, ask him for the thing that the hard of hearing thing and just do that. Like, I'll do it when I'm old.
All right.
I don't care.
All right.
So that's, yeah.
Okay.
I have certain etiquette opinions about that type of stuff. So 1917.
Yep.
That's the movie.
Jumping in.
Just like the movie did, it jumped in really quick.
It is moving.
Yeah.
From the get.
They just got set up with the mission, which was to tell one of the battalions not to advance on the Germans because it was a trick. Because Germans be tricky.
Was it a trap?
It's a trap. Totally.
It was a trap, guys. So these two blokes were sent to...
well, one bloke was sent. One bloke was asked.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other bloke roped in.
Yeah, they called them. They said, hey, choose a guy. Meet me over here. We got to chat. So they didn't know what they were going to be chosen for.
Never agree to do anything until you find out what the job is.
Well, it's the military. You don't get to agree to things. You just do what you're told.
Don't join the military.
There we go. That's
podcast
the thing.
over.
Yeah. So, they get picked to go on this very important mission.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was only chosen because his brother was in the battalion they were going to save and stop.
Yeah, I guess,
right?
yeah, that was the incentive, maybe. Yeah. They said if we choose this guy, he won't just give up or say
They didn't seem like particularly...
Yeah, they weren't
overly
like
talented.
Fighters.
Yeah, like...
Well, the interesting thing is they both had strengths. One looked like not a cartographer, but he knew maps.
He did know maps,
He
so
was
that
a map
must
man,
be why they picked him.
Mapster.
Yeah. He was a mapster.
He's a map quester.
And his brother.
Yeah, and his brother. And then the other guy just kind of like came along.
His friend.
But he did seem to get some skills as it went along. So yeah, they're like, hey, you got to go. I don't even know how far it was.
The other guy was a little older. Not too much older, but a little bit older than
maybe like one was 20 and the other one was 21 and a half.
Yeah.
So,
but he looked out for the other guy. He seemed like he was like kind of looking out for the other guy a little bit.
So they go and the crazy thing is that they told them like, oh, there aren't any Germans over here. Just go over the ridge. or at least the guy told them that. So they get to the area where they have to go over the trench and into like the
no man's land.
Yeah, no man's land. And everybody's like, "Are you sure you want to do that?" So they get a flare from the guy who kind of makes fun of them and absolves them of their sins by throwing alcohol on him. He wasn't a priest, but he was just like, "Yeah, whatever. You're gonna die." So they hop up in there into no man's land, and I don't know if did you read All Quiet on the Western Front or the Cliff Notes or something?
Do you think I read that book? I remember that some point he picked up his buddy and was trying to save him, and then by the time he got there, he realized he was dead. He carried his dead friend.
Never carry a dead body.
I think he was alive, but
heavy.
He died along the way. So it was very sad, and that's the only thing I remember about that book.
Speaking about along the way, check out Michelle's Instagram along the way.
Oh, alongtheway.la.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so if you've ever read All Quiet on the Western Front or watched the movie, it was like that. It was gross. It was wet. It was muddy.
It looked miserable.
There was a bunch of dead horses that smelled.
Aside from being shot at and people trying to kill you, everything else was just miserable as well.
But at that point, nobody was shooting at them. It was literally just like, oh, wow, we have to walk around stinky dead horses and then dead bodies churned up in mud.
Yeah.
And then barbed wire.
And remember he fell and his hand went through
a dude after he had sliced his hand on barbed wire.
So there's definitely an infection going on there.
Yeah. So if you've ever been like, oh no, I cut my hand and then I fell on the sidewalk, that was nothing. Okay. Try to stick your infected hand in a dead guy's chest.
Ew. So these kids really, they
were babies.
They were babies.
Yep. Someone think of the children.
Yes, please. They, I think they said they had to travel like 9 miles, right?
I don't know. It was something. Far. even if
it was far.
Even if no one was trying to kill you, walking through mud, I'm already like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. So, this was like the most intense. What are those runs? Those Tough Mudder runs?
Yeah. This was the worst Tough Mudder ever.
The worst Tough Mudder.
If you think you went through a hard Tough Mudder, you have not.
Just next time you do one of those.
There was somebody who died in one of those, so they might have experienced something close to that, but yeah.
Well, thanks for making that sad.
Oh, so 1917 wasn't sad enough?
No. Right. Okay, so anyway, I think they said it was about 9 miles they had to go, and they had to do this through all the mud and the barbed wire and the booby traps and enemy.
It's a booby trap.
And everything else. Mm-hmm. To deliver a message to stop the
advancement of the battalion
of what they were going to do, and this was going to save, or hopefully save, like 1,600
lives.
So that was the plan.
That was the plan, Stan.
Yeah.
So it was kind of crazy. They go through this no man's land, and then so here's the funny thing. So they're in the trenches on the British side. And the British side is like sandbags, dirt, all this other stuff. And then they get to the German side. It's concrete.
Oh my gosh. It was so elaborate.
Like the British side, what was it? They had like telephone wire, like all strung up all weird. And then the German side, it was all like nice, coated along the side of the trench.
They had bunk beds for all the guys
inside of like this mine shaft area. They had lights everywhere, bunk beds, truss.
So the fellas
set up on the ceiling.
They take a little tour and they go and check things out, and they're kind of in awe of the enemy's construction, I guess. Their
German
digs.
Engineering.
Yeah, their war homes.
Warhols.
Andy
Warhols.
They're war bunks.
Daddy war bunks?
Yeah, daddy war bunks.
Puns, baby.
We got them.
Big puns.
Mm-hmm. And then that rat.
The rats.
They were really big. You think those were real rats? Those were real, weren't they?
They don't like the rats, but they like the rat smoke. They were big rats. It was kind of funny because now that, if you watch a video about animal training, you're like, wow, that's like a trained rat. He was trained to run up that bag of food that was dangling go along the trellis, the truss, like the
beams.
The what are those people? The shiplap people. They always make they always have the beam. They're like, we're gonna open this up and put a beam across it.
I just realized, these German bunks had shiplap.
Yeah,
a la Joanna Gaines.
Yeah, Joanna Gaines is a Nazi. Well, that's World War One. So,
I don't. Yeah, this is all pre-Nazis. Wrong. Everything's wrong about that sentence.
Yeah, we're all. Yeah, time is relative. So yeah, the mouse rat. Yeah, it was a rat. He walks up the thing and does this whole thing, drops down, and then they realize it's a tripwire. No, he's dangling. He realizes it's a tripwire, and then the rat drops down, but then trips the tripwire.
Right.
And explosion.
Then, this was the first big explosion that happened in the
movie. So what did you think?
Scared
when that happened?
The crap out of me. It was so shocking. You saw me. I jumped like 1,000 times during this movie.
There was a lot of people jumping. And
yeah. I mean, yeah. Because you're just following them along. And then kablam. Kablam.
But what did you think?
What do you mean?
What did you think was going to happen?
Though they had to get out. I don't know.
You didn't think like, okay, I'll tell you what I thought. I was like, oh, snap, that dude's dead. Like, all right, well, I guess he's going to have to go by himself.
Well, it seemed too early for that.
Look, we just saw that other movie and people died within the first. That doesn't mean he wasn't going to die.
I did for a split second think he was dead when he wouldn't open his eyes. And his friend was like, wake up. And I was like, no, it's too early for this. They just started.
Yeah, so he's covered in shale, limestone. I don't know. Because they're in a mine. I'm going to say limestone.
They're in a mine.
Yeah, they were in a mine shaft. They came out the other side. It looked like a mine shaft.
Oh.
And then it had a bucket and whatever. So that he pulled him out of the rock. The guy's all blind and full of dust or full of limestone. And then he has to blindly run down this path and then Indiana Jones style jump over a
The dude was
crevasse.
Like, just trust me, just jump. And he's all blind and jumping.
Luckily, it wasn't that big though.
No, but still. Like when you're blind.
No. Yes. Yeah.
I mean.
For sure. It was probably like 2 feet, 1 foot.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But still,
he definitely would have died.
That's scary.
Otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, they get out and then they're on the other side out in the open. And then all the German munitions are blown up so that the British can't use them. Then they got to like crawl out of that or climb out of that area. And it's like when they get to the open, do they get to the forest?
The forest? No, they don't hit a forest. They get to the barn.
Oh, no, yeah, there's a little clearing of trees, but then they get to like an open meadow. Yeah. They get to a meadow and that's when they see the dog fight happening. So like to me that was crazy because it's 1917. Planes have been around like perfected like 4 years? I don't know.
That's it?
At best. I think Kitty Hawk when was Kitty Hawk? Like
I don't know.
Kitty Hawk was
1903?
Okay, so 1903. Flew 4 times in 1903. So that's just kind of like, hey, we can fly. And then within
this is like
13 math, 11 years, they were like, hey, we can also shoot people who are also flying. Like to me, that's amazing how military and
that's crazy.
Humanity is. They're like, hey, you know what'd be cool? Flying. And then somebody's like, oh, after thousands of years, I figured it out. And then somebody's like, you know what'd also be cool? What if we could shoot people from it, drop bombs from it, also have women in bikinis do like acrobatic acts on the wing?
Right.
Like people were doing all this type of things and like, hey, what if we flew across the world with it? It's like not how quickly I personally
think they tried to put guns on birds first?
Probably.
They probably tried to weaponize birds?
Yeah. We've tried to do everything to pigeons, so
probably.
I think, people have tried to weaponize birds because you send messages with birds. So if you thought of that crazy idea, you said, well, what if we put a bomb on a bird?
What kind of, I guess a bomb. I guess something small, though, because it's a bird.
But the thing is,
it can't hold too much.
Back in the day, I don't think you can make a light bomb. You can't make a light bomb back then because it's made of metal. So they probably tried, but then the bird couldn't. They probably tried with a hawk or an eagle.
Yeah, something big enough.
Yeah, not a pigeon.
Maybe not a pigeon.
No, that wouldn't work.
All right.
But so they see this dogfight happening. It's 2 against 1 British over the Germans. And then they go over the hill and see this farm, and they don't know for sure if it's empty, but they got to check it out. So they check it out, and there's one guy named Blake who's the guy who was asked to do this, and then the older guy who tagged along.
And Blake has the brother.
Yeah, he has the brother. The other guy, I forgot his name. What's his name? Lieutenant Dan? Shellfish? Weisenheimer?
Let's look. Schofield.
Yeah, so Schofield.
Or Schofield?
Something.
One of those.
Rory Scofield.
No.
So he finds a thing of milk and fills it up with some milk.
There's a cow.
There's a cow there.
Chilling.
But the thing is you'll see throughout the movie is they lay waste to pretty much everything. So for some reason, this cow's alive.
Yeah. And there was still milk in the bucket.
Yeah. It's funny because there's a lot of things that happen that nowadays people just would not do for multiple reasons. If the Germans were fake retreating, I would not drink milk because I would think they had poisoned it.
Right. They just came out of a booby-trapped those bunkers.
Right.
And the Germans booby-trapped that because they knew people would come through there. So that was my first thought. Like, why are you all walking through this house? There could be bombs in there.
Right.
Or that milk could be poisoned.
And also they in the German bunker or actually the trench, they knocked over a pot full of ash that was still burning slightly. So they knew the Germans hadn't left that long ago. But yeah, I wouldn't drink that milk. And then also like I just been touching dead bodies and all this stuff, and then he was drinking the milk with his hand. It's just a lot of stuff we didn't know about at that time.
I mean, and also germs. When you're in the middle of all this,
yeah, you're very thirsty and you need protein and fats and all that stuff. So, it's a crapshoot. I always say back in that time, you could just say, I'm going out to milk the cow, and you could be attacked by a wolf. So it's just like, that life is pretty fleeting. So you might as well get some milk.
So this is the scene where things took a turn. And I was pretty surprised, really. So the dogfights, they shoot down the enemy plane.
Well, the two other fighter
planes. The two other
planes.
Yeah, these guys are just watching.
Yeah, they can't.
They're just in the barn.
Shoot the guns.
Watching because they can't do anything. So they see the enemy plane go down. We see it go down past the hill. But then we see it come back up and fly straight towards our guys. Right? So they're like, run. So this plane crashes into the barn, is all on fire. And our two guys run over and like pull the pilot.
Wait, before that, it was funny because I don't feel like they ran fast enough from the plane coming at them. They were just kind of like, this is weird. I'd have been like, yo, run. Like I would have been I would have been way gone.
They're also wearing a whole ton of stuff.
That's true, but it didn't look like they were hauling though.
No, I think the plane just got there quick. Like,
but I just saying the way they were running, it didn't look like they were giving their all.
All right, I don't know.
If I was a football coach, I'd be pretty angry.
Cut them?
I'd be like, you guys didn't give your all. You need to be in there in that play.
Right.
Cover them.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, so I'm sorry they failed your.
Hey,
your sprint test.
They could do better. Well, one of them can do better.
Oh, okay. So.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So
what you're about to say.
Yeah. So plane's on fire. They go over and they pull this enemy pilot out of his plane because he would burn. Right? Mm-hmm. My first thought was, shoot the guy.
I would have just let him burn.
Well, I have a little more compassion.
You do.
I understand this is war times. Shoot the guy. But no, see, this was a theme I think I noticed throughout the movie once it got like further in. But so they go and they pull a guy out. And then they pull him away from the burning plane. And he's on fire. And then the fire gets put out. And then Schofield is like, hey, we should just put him out of his misery. And our guy Blake says, no, get him some water. Right? I'm still thinking, but this guy doesn't, he wouldn't let you live.
Yeah.
So then the next thing we hear is the scuffling and our poor buddy Blake has been stabbed by this pilot he just rescued.
Yep. In the gut in 1917.
Yeah.
Not 2020.
In the middle of nowhere, all by yourselves. So, Schofield comes running over, shoots the guy, and our buddy Blake is sitting there bleeding out. And this is where I had no idea this was going to happen. This shocked me. Was it
to your core?
Poor sweet baby Blake dies.
Sweet baby Blake.
He dies.
Oh my goodness.
He didn't even make it halfway through this movie. There was still probably...
yeah, he probably made it 40%.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
There's 2/3 of the movie left.
He barely got into that 40%.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. I had thought they were both going to make it through, or if one of them's going to die, it wasn't going to be
the guy who had a brother.
Blake? Yeah, the guy with the
brother.
That's
why I thought it was going to be the other guy.
Yeah, so that was surprising. And then more heartbreak was that he dies, and 30 seconds later, all those other soldiers roll up oh man, if he had just, because he spent all that time letting him die on the ground with him and comforting him and all this stuff. And then oh man, if you had just keep dragging him just a little bit. That wouldn't
have done anything. It would have just been 10 people watched him die.
But they could have helped. Maybe.
Helped what? He was bleeding out.
Maybe.
I think if they would have showed up 5 minutes earlier, it would have been a totally different situation.
Then they could have thrown him in the truck and driven him to wherever he was.
I mean, if they would have shown up when that plane was coming down, then they all would have shot that guy. And Blake wouldn't have been able to make the dumb decision that he did.
Yeah.
I just think I just think about, once again, as I'm listening to the Kendrick thing, is it wickedness or is it weakness? You decide. Are you going to live or die?
His poor bleeding heart.
He was trying to be that
was
weak
literal
and nice
bleeding heart.
And meek, and it was in war you can't do that. You need to kill.
Right. I guess.
Because you want to go home.
That's the thing, is you want to go home.
Yeah.
But so here's the theme I did notice.
That's what a family member told me. They said, it's hey, he's got kids, I got kids, but I need to see my kids.
All right.
That's what it comes down to.
All right. Well, I did get that. So here's what I did notice is that they were more, all the encounters they had, nobody particularly fired for a second, right? Schofield didn't want to kill that other soldier he came up on. He was telling the guy, shh. I don't know what his plan was, if he was going to be let me go. No. But he did not immediately kill this guy. Mm-hmm. And then
you're jumping ahead to the...
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Well, anyway, so it seemed like that showed up a couple times. It took people a second to be oh, right, I'm supposed to be killing somebody.
Yeah, it's what is it called? War weariness?
Oh, right, oh, hey, there's a dude. Oh, wait, I'm supposed to shoot any other dude that doesn't wear the same uniform I do.
So it's kind of in the next scene when the battalion or whatever shows up with all the trucks. It was kind of funny too. When I watch these old movies, I think about how they got so much done with so much inefficiency. When you see the Hoover Dam being built or the Panama Canal, you see these cranes and earth moving equipment. You're these wheels are horrible. And these axles look bad, and just everything looks bad and inefficient. But somehow they got it done.
Yeah.
So these guys pick them up.
Is that why the wars lasted so long? Because I was thinking this trenches look like they took forever.
Well, yeah, you had to dig in, you had to do all these things,
right?
And just think about the messages. You got to send the messages,
right?
I don't even know how that worked. I don't even know how mail has ever worked.
And then
in war, they were talking about the people from the Netherlands or somewhere were doing. I'm how do you know what people from the Netherlands are doing when you're in France? How does that information get to you?
Well, they did have phone lines, but the Germans cut them all. That's why they had to send these guys on foot.
That's true.
They did have some.
But before that, there was still the Revolutionary War and other wars. People were somehow able to communicate through enemy lines. I'm just
and then do you send more than one guy? Because I was thinking, all right, so
no,
especially...
essentially, it was a Star Wars mission. You're my only hope.
Yeah, but I'm saying like really.
Oh, you mean to send messages?
Yeah, like really in war. Like you would send more than one dude with one message because you got to assume.
It didn't seem so.
If you send 5, I mean, you got to assume only one is going to, like you hope one will make it through.
It didn't seem so. It seems the way that I've always seen it done is like they send a person and then if something goes wrong, they're like, hey, has anybody heard from so and so? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And then somehow they find out that person's dead. I don't even know how they do that.
Yeah.
I don't even know how they do anything in war. None of it makes sense. And I'm like, how do you do that? So that brings it, before we go on, that brings it to another thing. It's just like how life goes on in war.
Yeah.
Not for people who are not in war, but in war. Like people are eating food and people are, joking around and, like
Pooping.
people are sending messages, people are all these things. And I'm like, how do you function in a war and where you can, think about all these things and be able to say like, for example, oh, I'm the person that carries letters across, enemy lines and I'm willing to die to carry a letter that says, a bunch of people's letters, let's say it's personal letters and maybe one national security letter, but it's like, dear Margaret, I blah, blah, blah. And you get killed over some random letter that some guy's writing to his wife. So it's just really interesting to me. I've never been a military or war person. Shout out to all those people doing that, but I'm just like, I can't do that. It's just very strange to me.
A lot.
Yeah, it's too much.
Okay, so you have more?
No, I was just saying, I'd either be like shaking in a corner, I'd be wind talkers and just shoot at anybody who was around me. So,
wind talkers do?
No, in the movie Wind Talkers.
Okay.
No, please don't put those words in my mouth. Wind Talkers did not do that. I was talking about in the movie with Nicolas Cage. He just kind of goes crazy and stuff. It's like shooting all sorts of people, like people on his side, enemies. He's just like, they're all after me. So I would be on one of those extremes. See. That's why I'm not in war.
Right. Not for you.
Nah. I'd be like Dolph Lundgren with the ears around my necklace thing. It's another movie.
Yeah.
I think it was Dolph Lundgren. Whatever.
I remember something with ears.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So all these other dudes show up. They pick him up. He's like, I got somewhere to be. And they say, get in the truck. We'll drive you as far as we can.
So, I got somewhere to be.
So they get in the truck. They're helping. He's meeting other dudes. He's talking and telling these guys he has an important mission. Then what happens? The truck breaks down. They got to help get the truck moving. Anyway, so they get to a point where the bridge is blowing out. They got to stop. And then he's like, all right, I don't have time to take this detour. I'm going to cross this broken bridge. Peace out. Thanks for the ride. But now this buddy's on his own now. And he's like, just got to keep himself moving. Which is really sad for him because he was like, I don't want to be here. Why did you choose me? Why am I here? And now he's just trying to keep himself going because there's a lot of people's lives at stake.
Yeah.
He's got to get this message delivered. Now he's running through all kinds of crazy situations. Oh, okay. So the scene where... So he crosses the bridge, he crosses the thing, and then...
that guy's shooting at him?
Yeah, so he shoots the guy, which I thought, this was a really impressive scene from one of those, like, shooting video games. Like, the...
Which one? Big Game Hunter?
No, the shooting one that... Halo.
Oh.
Right? Like, I didn't even see that dude in the window. I was like, I don't know what he's shooting at with this old rifle thing that you gotta... every time. So anyway, he gets him, but then he goes up to double check or whatever. What happened there? Did he get shot in the head? Did he get... Because he didn't seem to have like any bullet wounds.
So yeah, like he's crossing the bridge because the bridge is out. The other guys go away. He goes across the bridge, on the broken bridge on like the edges of the truss of the bridge. Yeah, some guys are shooting at him from a window. So yeah, I guess he kind of pulls that together of where the guy's located. But yeah, so he shoots the guy. The guy's wounded, but then he goes to double check. He goes up the stairs. But yeah, I think what happened is the dude, as soon as he opened up the door, tried to shoot him in the head, but he shot him in the
helmet.
The helmet, and the helmet's rounded in a way to where that's what it's for, is the ricochet.
Right.
So it knocked him back
back down the stairs, and he's blacked out for a while.
He hit his head. The guy obviously died because he shot the dude in the chest or wherever.
They shot each other at the same time.
Yeah. So
we don't know how long he was out.
No.
We just know
it was light, and then it was nighttime when he woke up.
That's true. So he lost a lot of hours.
Anywhere from like, well, it could be 15 minutes depending on what time, but I would say like an hour to a couple of hours that he lost time.
Well, because it became 6 a.m. pretty quickly.
That's true. So he was out throughout the night. He was out till like 4 a.m.
He lost some time.
You know, I would say he was out till like 2, because then he still
had some running to do.
He was running through the town. The town's on fire. Like you said, that guy saw him. It's kind of like, are you German or English or what? And then he was like, but I think if he would have played it cool and just kind of like walked in and be like, I don't know if he knew German, but like Inglorious Bastards, put the right 3 fingers up or whatever.
Tried to
probably
pretend.
Been fine, but he kind of was like, do you notice that I'm British? And the guy's like, what? Why are you acting weird? And he's like, oh crap, you're British. So then with his, like you said, 1917, actually those rifles could have been, who knows, 1913 rifles. He's trying to shoot the guy while running.
They were loud.
If it was 2020, he would have died way earlier in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because guns obviously are very efficient now, even single fire rifles.
I mean, he is getting, bullets are just pinging off everything around him. He's just running. I mean, I know it's a movie and that's the point, but still.
Yeah, guns weren't that efficient.
Super accurate.
They're much better than Revolutionary War, but they definitely were not that accurate. So, yeah, then he ducks away from the dude, slides through some slat into a basement.
Yeah, jumps into a basement where apparently a lady is living with a baby she found.
Yeah.
That was random. As soon as he got down there, I thought, because the whole town's on fire. And then there was fire in there, and I thought, no, that's an organized fire. That's a fireplace. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Like, did you just fall into a bunch of Germans? Right. A German nest?
And then there was a lantern that was on. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute. And then there was a lady, like creepy, like a scary movie. Like you just see her face in the shadow. Yeah. But then she was nice. She was French, and she was like, please don't kill me.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because, like, when I saw it the first time, I was like, is there going to be like some weird sex scene in here where he's just like, because I don't know if you've ever seen Enemy at the Gates. There's a weird sex scene in there.
I thought he was going to kiss her.
Yeah, or something.
I thought
there was going to be some sort of thing, and I was like, yo, what is about to happen? Like, you got to stay on point here. But, yeah.
She helped his wounds. Like, he had a huge gash on his head. Yeah,
so she put some pressure on it.
And kind of helped him for a second.
The funny thing is like, she helped him and held him, and the baby cried. She went to tend the baby, and then he held it for a second. And then he got up and started walking. I was like, dude, sit down for a little while longer.
He's got a mission he needed to get.
But he could have just sat, and she could have brought the baby to him, and then he could have left.
I didn't realize he had all that food with him that whole time. He'd kind of been moving, but he could have ate a snack while he was in the truck. And he never did. Also, going back a little bit, and I know this is kind of like, but it's wartime. I was a little... Like, I was confused why he didn't take any of his buddies' supplies.
But he had all the supplies already.
He didn't know if he was going to need stuff. His buddy had a whole backpack of stuff, too.
Yeah, but then he'd have another backpack of stuff.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's pretty heavy.
That's true. And his mission was only supposed to be a certain amount of time. He needed to get there by the morning.
Like...
So.
I would have possibly ate a snack out of his bag, so I wouldn't have to later eat out of my own bag. But I definitely wouldn't have taken any of that food with me. I was just like, oh, chips. And I would have ate the chips while getting on.
He definitely seemed like he needed some sustenance. And he had been
blown up. He had been running. He had been, his friend had died.
And so anyway, he gave all his food to the woman and the baby.
The lady, the baby. And then she was like, oh, stay. And he's like, I can't. Because obviously he's got a mission to do. But also I have another theory at the end.
She just didn't want him to die.
Sure, whatever. So then he comes out, and your favorite part, he sees a dude puking. They had been drinking, and he tries to duck in another way. And then there's a second dude inside of this other building. So then he does what?
They see each other. They just kind of look at each other for a second. And then... our guy gets the jump and does the whole shh.
Dumbest thing you can ever do.
And the guy doesn't, obviously. He lets his hand up, and obviously this guy's going to scream.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like, the person's going to say, yeah, sure, I'm not going to scream. And then
So now they're fighting. And I think he was trying not to fire his gun because those things were so freaking loud.
Yeah.
So
did he not have a knife? He didn't have a knife.
He didn't have a knife, I don't think. But this guy did.
He should have Kali Ma'd on that dude when he was shushing him. Just like reached and tried to pull his heart out. Mm-hmm. Hey, it's wartime.
They're wearing a lot of stuff. You're not going to be able to get to.
Yeah, that's true.
You need a knife for that. He did. So he ends up.
Yeah, but I'm saying he should have started with strangling. Cover his mouth, strangle him.
Yeah. So, so now they have to fight to the death. And so.
I don't know the Star Trek.
I don't know what that was.
Death. That's supposed to be the Star Trek. Yeah, I don't remember.
No.
The Star Trek death music.
I don't know if there's Star Trek death music. Star Trek?
Yeah, didn't they have when they were fighting? They had like the music that would happen.
I mean, I don't know.
It's been a long time since I've watched the original Star Trek.
Yeah, I don't.
That's another calamity in wartime.
Yeah.
Who brings your captain off the ship? Just don't do that. Sorry. Go back. So he strangles the guy.
So he strangles the guy, and it takes a long time.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's how OJ felt. He's like, "Oh my goodness, this takes way longer than I thought." So yeah, he strangles the guy, but then the other guy comes in.
But he's all drunk, and he's like, "What?"
He's like, "Reinhold, what's going on?
Where are you?
Well, how is there two of you somehow morphing?" Happening? And then he realizes, oh crap! So the dude doesn't have a gun because I think he got his gun knocked over when they were fighting.
Yeah. So he keeps losing stuff. So he gave all his food to the lady, and now he's lost his gun. And now he's just running for his life through this burned out town.
Yeah, he pushes the guy over because he's drunk.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, he should have took the knife from the German plane guy.
Yes.
So he'd have a gun and a knife.
Yes.
You gotta have a knife on
It's like video games. You collect things from the dudes you kill, right?
Yeah, totally. I do that all the time in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, you take
kill those macablins or whatever.
Macablins?
That's something like that.
So like a goblin from McDonald's?
Get the new macablins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. There's something like that.
So yeah, he should have taken his club, his knife, whatever he's got.
You were thinking about Breath of the Wild, the clubs.
Yeah, the clubs. So.
But yeah. So
he didn't take nothing. He didn't have that time. He just thought run.
Yeah. So then everybody's shooting at him. He's running. Bang, bang, bang.
I mean,
bang,
this is a lot of pressure to survive.
Yeah.
Right? Other than you don't want to die, you also are trying to survive to save all these men.
Yeah. It's a lot of
pressure.
Your shoulders. You need to go to Massage Envy after this. Massage Envy, our sponsor. No, we don't.
I mean, I was tense at the end of this movie. Yeah. Do you see a movie sometimes and then as soon as it's over, you realize you'd been like clenching your whole body the whole time?
Not clenching, but definitely my brain was like when I saw Interstellar. Or what was the movie we saw over Christmas break again?
Interstellar.
No. Did I say Interstellar?
Yes.
Inception. The same eyes. Inception and Interstellar. My brain was like, "Whoa! What if this was real? And how would I?" But never really get like that tenseness. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I did when we were watching the movie. What was I doing? Oh yeah. I was pushing my foot up against the thing where my foot was rested when they were trying to move the truck. They were like 1, 2, 3, and I was like,
"You're like, we can do it, guys. We can do this."
What? So I guess it's usually actions. Yeah.
Okay.
If there's certain actions, I'm kind of like,
I was tense for this guy. I was like, "Come on, Schofield, you can do it. Schofield, whatever your name is, buddy."
But yeah, so he's being chased, jumps off into a river.
Okay, and I have to say, this movie was shot amazingly, and we're going to talk about all that later. But I will say that this scene where he jumps off into the river was like the worst.
Just around the river.
The worst scene. But it was
a
split second. Just the falling part. Everything felt so seamless except for that. I was very aware that it had been put together somehow.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Okay, so now he's in a river.
Hey, we just fell in a river.
He just jumped in a river.
Well, yeah, I guess he jumped in a river. He didn't fall. So he's, tussling in the river.
I felt bad for this dude. That was so much.
You never want to be in a raging river, not unless you're on a boat in the Colorado.
Right, but then also this poor actor.
Well, stuntman.
The stuntman went down the waterfall, but this actor was actually in the water. Like, you see his face the entire time.
Well, that's what I said to you when we watched the video, and you were like, "That's a stuntman."
No. I was pointing at the guy jumping off the waterfall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, the dude was in the water.
Okay.
In these raging waters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That seems scary. That seems like that must have been
definitely a way that you could die filming a film.
Yeah.
Making a film. But yeah, so he goes over the waterfall. He almost dies again because he's passed out.
Yeah.
Or he's kind of like passing out because he didn't need any of the chips that he could have eaten.
Right.
And he gave away the rest of the food.
He gave away the milk, too.
We gave away the milk, everything. He has no food.
He gave away the possibly poisoned milk to the baby.
No, he drank that already.
Oh, okay, that's right.
But he doesn't actually. Who knows?
When he drank that, I thought he's gonna get farts in the middle of running for this war.
You're just thinking of yourself. You're like, oh, this lactic or whatever.
I mean, it's straight out of a cow.
Yeah, but those people drink milk straight out of a cow.
I know.
Their guts were probably way better than our guts.
That's true.
They're like, you saw that water they pumped was all full of rust and iron.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't need iodine.
No.
We're good.
Yeah.
We're good to go.
All right, so he's going through this river, and then he gets to some calm waters, and then has another horrifying experience.
So, but this is funny. So when I saw this movie already with her brother, and he goes, why didn't he just swim to the left? Like the camera was on the rocks.
Right.
And he was like, why didn't you just swim left to get in the water instead of swimming straight to a log that was full of dead bodies?
Right.
So he has to swim.
Good point.
And traipse over more dead bodies.
Climbing over dead bodies.
And now the
out.
dead bodies are wet and juicy. Ugh. So as he's breathing and blah, 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 he's getting dead body juice in his mouth.
They're all floaty.
Yeah. And their tongues are all, did you see the guy? Yuck. His tongue was all gigantic. I missed that. And bloated. That happens, when you die in water, your tongue gets all with the puffy stomach. So none of them had puffy stomachs yet. It should be a band name.
They look puffy to me.
No, I don't know. So yeah, he gets out, and then lo and behold, there's someone singing some sort of British hymnal.
But at this point now, he has lost all his stuff. Because when he fell into the river, when he jumped into the river, he still had his pack and like some things with him. No, at this point, he has climbed out with nothing, just his jacket. And at that point, I was afraid he had lost the orders, the letter he was supposed to deliver.
But that was deep in his jacket.
Yeah, I know, but I was scared for a second. And then I thought, no, it's got to be there.
And also to note, the dude who died, he took his rings and his dog tag or something.
Yeah, whatever
and
that
stuffed
is,
it in some sort of inner jacket thing. So, yeah, there's somebody singing some British hymnal thing that I've never heard in my life. And there's a bunch of people.
It was pretty.
It was. There's a bunch of people all gathered around. Weird thing is, he walks up out of nowhere. No one turns around.
That's what I thought. I was
would have been like,
these
yo,
dudes
who's
all
this
been
dude?
dead.
I'm like, who is this dude? Because I'm about to shoot him in the face. And
They
they're
didn't
like,
care.
oh, you're British.
He just walked up and sat down.
Because, what was it? 3 miles away was Germans. So
Yeah.
it's kind of weird. So they, he's like about to pass. He's about to like lay down or whatever. And then he was like, what did he say? He asked them like, who are you guys with or whatever?
Yeah, he said, I've got to get to the Devons. And then he said,
we're the Devons.
We're the Devons?
That's real British voice.
Right. So he said, I need Captain Corporal Schnumine. Take me to your leader, basically. Yeah. So.
But they were in Company
far,
D.
Yeah.
And they were like the fifth wave. So he needs to run back through.
Fourth.
Yeah. However, numbers and letters work in conjunction. He had to run back through another trench. Through tons of dudes and tons of dudes.
Tons of dudes. Right. He was there to save 1,600 dudes. So he was running through bunch of dudes to get to A.
He ran through 1,200 dudes.
Right. He needed to get to
What
block.
Did you just...
Yes. He needed to get to block A.
If you know, yeah.
He needed to
Some people got that.
He needed to get to the front of the line, basically. So he's just got out of the river. And now he's running and pushing through all these people.
It's definitely a quick way to get quickly dry.
I guess so.
Run really fast.
Ugh, I just realized he was running in wet clothes.
So that's the thing. This whole time, like,
Eesh.
they went through all that. Like, that's, what was it? I was supposed to say crotch rot. That's a different thing. But boot,
boot rot?
boot rot. I'm just kind of like, oof, this just sounds like
Eesh.
the worst boot rot thing. Jungle rot or whatever.
Right.
It has so many different names.
So along the way, he keeps asking, where is Captain Sergeant
Captain
Corporal,
Morgan.
whatever his name is, Colonel so-and-so.
Colonel Sanders.
Colonel Sanders. Where's Colonel Sanders? Mackenzie? No, I don't remember.
No, that's the other guy's name. That's the chick from Blade Runner. Yeah, so he's asking where these people are, and it's all sorts of different people. Some people are like, he's that way. Other people are crying because they're afraid of dying.
Oh, that's right. Colonel Mackenzie.
Okay, my bad.
Oh, boom.
So he's asking all these people, and then he gets close to Colonel Mackenzie, and then they try to stop him from getting into the bunker. No, but
first, this felt very TV movie. You know how we always say people in movies don't communicate, and that's the problem. Mm-hmm. They don't just say, I love you, stay here. They keep it all to themselves, and then they wait until they have to run to the airport and then say it. Mm-hmm. While he was running through all those dudes, I just kept thinking, you need to be shouting the whole way. Stop! Stop! This is supposed to stop. I have orders. Please stop! 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 Everybody he ran into, he should have been saying, I need to stop this. Take me to what's his face, Mackenzie. Yeah.
Well, the thing is probably if he would have yelled that much, he would have probably been
arrested
or grabbed or something.
Maybe
because you are dissenting.
That's true. And they don't know who he is. It probably maybe you're right.
He's just some random crazy dude.
Maybe
running around.
But still, I was frustrated the whole time. I was like, tell somebody, because they're literally the dudes are like perched, ready to go. Like they were just waiting for the whistle.
But you know how things work. You got to get it from the commanding officer.
Right. So he's running forever trying to find this guy.
Running through the trenches, knocking people over.
And then it kicks off, doesn't it? They start running.
Well, they start getting bombed on, actually, a little bit. As he's running, people are getting blasted and knocked out or killed.
So he asked the dude, like, where is Colonel Mackenzie? And he said 300 yards that way, but you'll never make it or something. Right. He's like, but we're going to go now. So he climbs up and out of the trench and is like, I'm just going to make a straightaway across this field.
Right.
Field of war. The battlefield. And so the guy was like, don't do it. What are you doing? This is crazy. So.
Just like, this is crazy. As he's falling like to his death. This is crazy.
Yeah. So meanwhile, okay, so Company A or whatever.
They start going out.
So they're all running towards the enemy. And then our guy is running perpendicular to everybody.
Yeah. So it's the scene that you see in the preview.
Right.
Where there's blasts going off. And he's running and running
Probably
into
the
people.
most cinematic scene of the movie.
Right.
So he's running through these blasts, which we watched behind the scenes were real blasts going off.
Sorry, Corey. I said that I thought that they were small blasts with CGI, big blasts, but they were big blasts.
He was running through this craziness. So
the thing interesting is it was like a cone with amount of dirt in it, and then it blasted the dirt up. So there wasn't really a way, I don't think, for anyone to actually get hurt.
Yeah, I don't think
unless they stood over it with their eyes open.
Yeah.
But so, in movies they've used real explosives. Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
So he's taking the shortcut trying to get to Colonel
Mackenzie
Cumberbatch. So
you gave it away.
I did give it away. So that's where we're getting to next. Is he shows up, he drops in. Meanwhile, these guys are all already running to their death.
Right. But remember, those people are trying to stop him. He gets to the door entrance.
Right.
And
he gets to the door and now
he's like, no.
The battle the guards of the door.
Yeah.
And he's like, let me in. And they're like, no, you're not getting in there. And somehow he gets in. What happened to those guys?
It was kind of a weak thing. Yeah. He just kind of like shimmied.
Yeah.
It's like he was made of Crisco and he just kind of shimmied off of him and
maybe
ran
it was a blast. Maybe they got distracted by something and he slipped in. And
then he goes, Colonel Mackenzie. And then it turns around. And then I heard someone in the audience go, because it was
Cumberbatch.
Dr. Strange
with a scar on his eye. Yeah. So we knew he had been through stuff.
He was ready for war.
He was a hardened colonel.
Those are the worst that get stuck in your teeth. A hardened colonel. But yeah, so he reluctantly
gives in after being like, oh, you keep telling, everybody says like, wait till the fog and don't wait till the fog and do it tomorrow and whatever. And I'm just going to go now. But he finally reads the letter.
He is so over this war, guys. He just wants to go home and drink some tea.
I think that's how everybody kind of felt.
Yeah.
Because, we were just looking at the reasons for the First World War. And I don't even think they knew at the time. Like, why are we here?
That's what the dudes on the truck said.
Yeah. And nobody
They were
knew.
like, what are we fighting over all this for?
Yeah. And it was just like nice land. And they were kind of like, what the deal is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess some people probably died, but not as many.
Not as many. So then they send the word out and you hear, stop, come back. Right. So people start coming back.
And then to me, the TV moment is when somebody goes, do you know where, what's his name?
Blake?
Yeah, do you know where whatever the brother Blake is? And the guy's like, oh, he was in the first wave. I'm like, how do you know people by name? Like, I can't even tell you people I saw today. Like,
right? There's so many people.
It's just like I met a couple of people today, and I'm like, I can't even remember their names barely.
Were they saying lieutenant or were they saying lieutenant? But it just sounded weird.
Maybe they're just British. I don't know. It sounded like lieutenant.
Sounded
sometimes.
like lieutenant, and I just had never heard that before.
Yeah.
So, okay, real quick before we move on from Cumberbatch.
I've already moved on from Cumberbatch.
I felt so bad for him. He just went through so much to give that colonel that letter.
Mm-hmm.
And the colonel said, all right, get out of here. So then what? The other guy, at least at the doorway, was like, thank you so much, kid. Thank you so much. You did good.
What do you think he deserved? What do you think he should have said?
Thank
Colonel
you.
Mackenzie.
He should have said,
what?
Good job, kid.
What? Why?
Just a little something.
He doesn't need to say nothing. He's got more important things to tend to.
All right, fine.
He's got to pull all these dudes back. He's got to figure out what's going to happen next. He's got a lot of work to do. Cool. Great. Thanks. Now, get out of my way.
Fine. But I felt crushed for him because you could see he didn't know what to do next. He was like, oh, okay, now what?
If I went through all that crap and I got the message there in time to save, let's say,
that's enough.
1550 lives.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody has to say.
All right.
I'm still alive. I think that's the biggest thing. Even if 300 people were left and I lived, I'd be like, well, I got the message. 300 people are still alive.
You know what? Also,
I'm alive.
He kept turning down medical care. I was like, get your head bandaged, buddy.
Well, get your hand bandaged
your
first
hand
of all.
bandaged and your head bandaged.
Your corpse bride over there.
Right. But then he had to find Blake's brother.
Yeah. So then, like TV moment. Hey, do you know where Blake is? And the guy's like, yeah, I used to go to college. I'm like, how do you know this dude's name?
Right.
So then he says, oh, he's probably in the not recovery, the medic tent, or he's dead. That's essentially what he said.
Yeah.
So he went running around. Yeah. Blake. Yeah. What's it? Shane. Going around yelling Blake. And then he just sees a guy. No one else is around. He goes, are you Lieutenant Blake? And the guy's like, yes, I am.
He told him, remember the guy when he was dying? He said, you'll know it's my brother because he looks like me, just
from
older.
The back?
He was kind of turned to the side. It was like profile.
He was in the back. Like, not unless he was checking out that dude's butt. I'm like, I don't know how you know what that dude looks like.
It was profile.
No. And they did not look alike at all.
A little bit.
At all.
A little bit.
They were both white men.
You know what, though?
With
there was
legs
somebody,
and arms.
There was somebody in that D company that looked just like the Blake dude. And then I thought, oh, that's got to be his brother. And then I thought, wait, is that they just put Blake back in? Like, just hide him amongst all the rest of the soldiers?
You're going to be an Easter egg. But yeah, so I don't know how he figured out that was him. And the guy's like, yeah, blah, 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 blah. He's like, oh, my brother's here. And then womp, womp.
Oh,
it's like,
sad face.
Yeah, I'm like, oof, that's got to be not fun. So he gives him the dog tag, the rings. But the funny thing was, like, throughout the movie, they were talking about medals and ribbon and blah, blah, blah. And so seeing it the second time, I was like, oh, that's kind of a play off of what he wanted. Because Blake was asking Schofield why he got a medal and then just gave it away for some alcohol. And he was like, I didn't really care. Yeah. It's not that important to me.
He said it was a piece of tin.
Yeah, it was just a piece of tin. But he was like, I would have wanted it, blah, blah, blah. So it was just interesting that he took these personal effects, these pieces of tin and metal, to present to his brother as some sort of kind of like medal of
Well,
his
he
brother's
just wanted
life.
his family to have his stuff.
No, I know, but I'm saying I think it plays to that idea of like what that kid wanted.
Oh, right.
You know,
like these things
and
are important.
the medals are important.
Right.
They symbolize something. They mean something.
And that kid would have gotten a medal if he hadn't died because he
could
saved
still
the
get a
other
medal.
guy. Oh,
just
that's
like the
true.
guy, like he said they're just good things for your widow.
Oh, to
get.
send to your widow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I thought about that the second time when I saw him hand the medal. And then he's just like, hey, like you said, hey, you should go. Oh, no, he said you should go get some food, is what Blake said. And then he just sees a tree and walks up to the tree and sits down and looks at. Oh, what? Go ahead.
I thought he was going to die.
You thought he was going to die of exhaustion?
I thought he was going to die at the tree. Yeah. I thought, oh no, he's sitting down to die.
No, he just wanted to be like Ferdinand, the bull.
What?
That's what he did. He sat under a tree, at least the Disney version.
I don't know.
I don't know if there are any other versions, but
yeah, he just wanted a peaceful moment by himself.
Yeah, so he pulls out a picture of his wife and his kid, which is his interesting.
That was his mom.
I think that's his wife and his kid. Because think about it. That lady asked him, "Do you have any children?" He did not answer.
He did not answer. That's true.
The guy, he said multiple times, "I don't like going home because it is too hard to come back. It's better for you not to go home." And he mentioned a lot of things of kind of like he has a family. He didn't want to leave the family, but he has to do what he has to do. And he doesn't want to go home because once he goes home, it becomes hard to leave because he doesn't want to leave his family.
Right.
And then the thing that kept him alive, because Blake had a brother, but he didn't have like a family, and so this family was like I was saying about the whole thing. It's like, this guy's a family, I have a family, but I need to get back to my family. And so I think that was his second motivation, was like, I got to get this message out and I got to save these people. I got to do it for Blake, but I got to do this because I got to stay alive for my family.
For my family.
And even when they were arguing outside of the mine, he was like, why did you take me on this thing? Like, I just need to get through this so I can get back to my family.
Right.
And so like the whole thing was just, and even that woman, like I thought about, when I was wondering, I was like, is this going to turn into some kiss or sexual thing or whatever? But even that thing of like, this kind of thing that you sometimes hear about, people falling in love in war. It's like he could have met that lady, he could have been like, oh, I'll stay, I'll protect you. The war ends. Me and this lady raise a baby. We have a baby. I live in France and whatever. But he's like, I don't have time for that. I got obviously multiple things to do. But it's like, I don't have time to be like cowardice and be like, okay, well, let's just try to figure out a way to like, make a new life or whatever. He's like, I have a life. I have an objective. I got to get through this crap, get it done so I can get back to my family and see the people that I care about.
Right.
Which is on the back. It says, come home.
Come home to us.
Come home to us. So
yeah.
His 2 girls.
All right.
And his wife. Right. So.
And we did see him looking at that several times throughout the movie, but we never actually saw the pictures until the very end.
Oh, I
we didn't
actually
know what he was
that.
looking at. Yeah, he kept opening that tin.
Oh, yeah, he did keep opening that tin. Mm-hmm.
We would only ever see him like open it and then put it away.
So that even brings more to credence to what I'm saying, because it was all about this.
It was a reveal.
It was about the family.
Yeah.
That's right.
So that's that.
He was Kaiser Sose the whole time.
We just walked through the whole movie.
We did. So there's some things I was thinking about. Yeah. So I already talked about like his family, getting home to the family. I think the thing that was crazy is about this is like, I was kind of saying this earlier, but death is like all around you. Like there's no escaping it.
No.
Like there's dead cows, there's dead horses, there's dead people, there's bodies churned up and whatever, there's bodies stuck in barbed wire. It's just like everywhere there's death. And I don't even, it's like walking through Hollywood, I'm like feeling all weird, like walking past homeless people poop, walking past like dirty sheets, walking past, whatever is on Hollywood Boulevard, people,
right.
Taking whizzes or whatever. So I'm just like, man, what if I had to crawl through that?
No.
And it was wet and muddy, all mixed together, and the smells. Yeah. That's the thing in movies you can never really get.
And you can't clean yourself off when you get to where you're going.
I think that's the biggest thing is like,
the best thing for him was jumping in that river.
Yeah. It's like, even when you're a civilian, you can go through situations and know, like, if you step in dog or human crap, like, I just need to get home.
Right.
Like I'll be home and do it. Or if you, whatever, like if you cut yourself and fall on a dead possum, I don't know. You can at least be like, let me get to a 7-Eleven or something and I can wash my hand out and I can put Bactine or whatever on it. This is just kind of like, all right, we'll just keep moving.
Yeah, you just surviving, I guess.
You just can't do, there's nothing you could do about it. It just is what it is. And I think that's pretty insane. But like the other thing I thought about was like how nature is naturally, I guess, versus once man touches it. Like in that field in the meadow, it was just all
so
green and
yeah.
and then the cherry blossoms, and then they chop down the cherry blossoms, and then you see like the field, which probably was also green and meadowy, is now filled with dead bodies and mud and horses and pits and mortars and all these things. And you see like how man can like totally mess up nature, but still nature finds a way.
That cow was still there.
That cow was still there. He didn't know there was a war. He was just kind of like, he didn't know his friends were dead. He was just kind of like, I eat grass.
I'm being a cow.
And so, yeah, it's just kind of interesting how like nature's kind of just like, hey, I'm doing my thing. Like the water was still churning. You know, it wasn't like there's a war. Like, what are we going to do? It's just kind of, so it's just interesting, that difference between like man modifying nature, whether it's for good or bad, and then nature being nature, and then nature modifying itself based off of what humans do to kind of like stop it. Because even when they did a callback on the cherry blossoms, because after he fell off the waterfall, and he was about to die or pass out, and he woke back up, and then cherry blossom leaves started falling.
Yeah, he was reminded.
He was reminded
I gotta get going.
Yeah, he was reminded of his mission. He was reminded of Blake,
of his friend,
and then just like nature. Like when you're sad and you see like something beautiful in nature, it kind of gives you hope of like, oh, you know, this is still happening.
Yeah,
nature's still like, hey man, don't worry. Like tomorrow we'll keep dropping, you know, leaves, and we'll keep pumping oxygen out for you.
You may not be here because you're in a war, but I will be.
But I'll still be here.
Maybe,
I'm a tree.
Unless you blew up my tree.
Yeah, unless you chop me down or whatever.
All right, so we need to get to like one of the biggest things about this movie.
What was it?
The one shot.
The one shot.
Okay, so
fake one shot.
Explain what that means.
So, well, yeah, one shot, it means is like everything that happens is done without any editing or stopping of filming. This movie was done in a fake one shot, like Birdman.
Simulated one shot.
Yeah, there we go. We'll use nice, pretty words. Simulated one shot. But it was funny because I didn't notice it the first time I saw it. And then Corey was like, man, that was crazy. They did all in one shot. And I was like, wait, what? But it was so seamless that I didn't really realize it. And I was like, there's no way it was done in one shot. And he was like, well, obviously not. But I think it was just done so well. My second time watching it, I still had a hard time seeing all of the cuts. Like obviously when they went into dark areas, that was a good cut. But it was really hard to see how they did that.
It was very well done.
So I think he's already won an Oscar, but the cinematographer, right?
Yeah.
He's I hope he wins for this. But we just watched a video about it, and essentially they spent 4 months planning. It was literally like
4 months rehearsing and like building models.
Is it an opera? What's the one where you dance all the time and you talk?
Musicals?
Yeah, a musical or an opera where you've got to get all the blocking and the staging. So they had to figure out how long does it take to get from one part of the trench to the other, and what dialogue fits in that amount of time, and getting everything precise so that it's more like marching band almost. You have to be right on,
that's true,
and then be able, like when you see the marching band like come at a 45-degree angle and then they cross each other without running into each other. They had to plan all that stuff, and they built scale models to get all the lighting right when they were doing the scenes in the darkness, and building all these things to make sure that when they got on set, everything was by the minute, by the second. And I was like, that's pretty insane. When the movie, it's always the thing that's the most seamless that is the most work. So it's like when you see someone do comedy, or you see someone do something, and you're like, oh, it's so effortless. So they dance. There's so much preparation put into that, to where it seems like anything that seems like it took no effort it took a ton of effort.
Right.
Anything that has a lot of effort in it might have been like haphazardly put together. That's like my kind of point of view is like, you know, you're kind of like, wow, that looks like blah, blah, blah. But when it looks super easy, like I could do that. And then you think about it like, oh, wait, you got to run with the guy and then take the camera and then two guys run with the guy and then take the camera
like
and then put it on a jib.
I mean, come on. Yeah. That was so impressive. Like during this movie, I was thinking, I really want to watch like a documentary on how they made this movie. And we watched a bit. We watched a video right before jumping on to record. I don't know. Google it. Find whatever it is behind the scenes 1917 YouTube video because it's crazy what they did and what they went through and all these cameras and all these rigs and the guys running with the cameras.
Yeah.
Like they had to run in front of the actor and they're just running. So hopefully the actor's doing what he's got to do behind him because they're just running down this trench that's been dug. Everything has to be, you know, all precise and
and they dug all those trenches on set.
Right.
They built everything. Yeah, and it's just like running to putting on a jib to putting on a motorcycle and then moving it to a truck and all these different things.
Yeah, so they did full on. Like one of the things he was like, this was like 8 minutes, straight shooting, right?
With dialogue.
Yeah,
and people running by, bumping into each other in tight spaces.
Yeah, so like I mean, movies don't shoot that way. You do like a little scene at a time and
nice cuts.
Right. And this is definitely Oscar worthy.
Yeah.
Oscar nomination at least. But yeah, this was a fairly impressive film.
I just wonder, I've never that I know of seen this director, like it's never been his name has never been forced upon me. So I just think about the budgeting, how they got all of this money procured to be able to set up such an elaborate pre-production phase.
Oh, right.
That's an insane pre-production that, you know, it's just a ton of work. And so I think this is based on his grandfather, or probably great-grandfather. He looks kind of young. So, yeah, he's 65. Yeah, it's kind of...
So stories from his grandfather.
Well, yeah, grand or great. My mom was born in 50, and she's the second of... Yeah, it's got to be great because my grandfather was World War II. So that would be maybe my mom was born in 50.
No, it says grandfather. So
really? Oh wow.
It says
he was born in 65 or something.
He is the grandfather of film director Sam Mendes, whose 2019 film 1917 is inspired by Alfred's First World War stories.
Oh, so maybe they're like a collection of
maybe
his different stories.
Well,
but yeah.
Anyway, it's a good movie.
So is that his actual grandfather? Or is that him? This is his grandfather.
This is the grandfather. Born in 1897.
And died in 1991. My goodness.
So 90s. Well, yeah, we don't really know what his...
He went through a lot of stuff. Even if that whole story wasn't true. Some of it, he went through a lot to be able to live till 91. Yeah, so... Moral of the story: World War II was confusing, and
World War One. World War II also was confusing, but
World War One was confusing and crazy. Don't join the military unless you're willing to carry a letter over 9 miles
and have your hand go through a dead guy.
And have your hand go through a dead guy, and a guy who I guess you were slightly friends with be killed. But yeah, that movie was.
Cast. We haven't talked about cast.
Oh, we haven't talked about cast? Well, we're running out of time.
We don't know any of these guys.
Yeah, what are we going to say about them?
That's all I got. They're good.
They were all, everybody. There was nobody I felt was out of place.
We're not Game of Thrones fans, so we did not recognize
we don't know this guy.
Blake. He just had a sweet cherub face and was sad to see him go.
He had some cheeks too.
He had cheeks.
Not like muscular, bite a doorknob off cheeks like Ye and
doorknob off.
I'm just trying to think of something that's kind of hard to bite. Doing opposite's pretty hard to
I
bite.
don't know. If you've listened to our other episode, you'll get this whole cheeks thing. Yeah. Also, Colin Firth was in there for a second, and Cumberbatch was in there for a second. I don't know why
pretty
Cumberbatch.
Much a second.
Probably just because he wanted to be a part of this.
Maybe he was a producer somewhere.
Maybe.
And he said, let me jump in there.
But it's funny when you see, big names in there for a split second. So,
well, it was almost like a Matt Damon in an Interstellar situation where you turn around and you're like, Matt Damon, what are you doing on this planet?
Yeah. What's going on? So,
all the people were great.
Everybody's
wonderful. We don't know them. I think it's good when you don't know somebody and they do a really good job.
Kudos to George McKay. He was the survivor of the two running. He was Schofield, however you say that. He did a lot of running.
Yeah.
A lot of running and swimming and trying not to die in a river and all that. He just did a lot. Having things blow up behind him. Yeah.
I think it was interesting because besides the Game of Thrones guy, there was nobody really pulling this movie. And even then, it's a war movie. So just being able to get this film done and financed and all that type of stuff is pretty interesting. Yeah. I have some questions for you.
Oh, okay.
Would you have taken this mission if you were in the military?
Well, I mean, like I said, you're the military, you don't have a choice.
It seemed like
it's
you kind
not.
of did.
It's not. Do you take this mission? You've already signed up. You don't have a choice. So if I was in the military and I was pulled into the room, handed this thing, I guess I have to.
All right. So you wouldn't not defect. What would that be? You wouldn't go like AWOL and act like, oh, we got hung up, and then just kind of
like fake sick, maybe.
Well, not fake sick, but just go out and then just kind of sleep under a tree.
Because then you have 1,600 people's lives hanging on you, and then you just ran off.
I'm sure somebody's done it.
Oh, I'm sure.
I was just trying to see if you were a coward. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Trying to call you out.
Well, I never did join the military.
Did you? You're already AWOL.
Guess you don't know my whole life.
Oh, yeah, I already asked you if you
would you take this mission?
Like I said, I wouldn't be in the military.
Right. So we're not.
I'm one of those people who
we're not good with
I'm one of those draft dodger type people.
The Air Force was coming after me, and I told the recruiter, I don't like guns and I don't like war. I don't think I'm for your Air Force. So he was like, oh, okay, cool.
He was like, don't worry, we won't get in a war. It's 1999. Yeah. Everything's cool. What was it? Would you have helped that German dude? What would you have done? So you kind of said it. What would you do?
I don't know, because I don't want to shoot people. I understand the want to help. You know what I mean? It's a human being burning in a plane. So first instinct is to help.
Yeah.
I was wondering what their plan was after that. If I had a plan of okay, we tie him up or something. I
think Blake's plan was he just becomes a war prisoner. I don't know how you would. The thing is he would mess up your mission.
Yeah, he's a distraction now.
Because the thing is you tie him up and then he dies. So then you starve the man to death.
I guess.
Because you would tie him up hoping somebody would show up. If nobody showed up, he dies. So you might as well just shoot him in the head.
But it was third party death.
That's not third party death. That's torture. That's literally torture. You tie someone up and then leave them. I don't
know. We can't ask these questions because I wouldn't be in this situation.
I would shoot him in the head.
I know you would.
That's right.
I know that if we were there together, I would have been I'd be dead in this situation.
No, you wouldn't be dead because you'd be like, oh, get him water. I'm like, I'm not getting water. I'm shooting him in the head. And you'd be like,
that's
you
true.
do that. No.
Yeah. That's
and then
true.
I'd be like, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
Like, you just,
yeah.
It was either us or him.
Yeah. No, I know. If we were together in this, I know that you would shoot him in the head.
Yep.
I wouldn't have to.
Just think, what would Josh do if you're ever in war? I would, no. I didn't say I was there in the scenario.
Well, I put you there.
No, that's not how the rules work.
We're married.
That's not how my rules. Yes, they would put a married couple as the two people that,
Yeah.
That's insane.
They sent the guy after his brother.
Yeah, but they didn't send him and his brother.
In Saving Private Ryan? No, that was because he was the final brother left. Never mind.
Yeah, you wouldn't put a husband and wife together on something like that.
All right. What are your other questions?
That was it.
Oh, okay.
I thought these are just other ideas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we've talked way too long. We've talked as long as this movie was almost.
Yeah, so if you didn't see the movie, you just did.
Yeah.
You
imagined it.
movie.
It was like you read the book, but it was read to you.
Some things I imagine.
What?
You don't know any of the music I listen to.
I do, not all of it.
Whatever.
Do.
So 1917.
Beautiful film.
Great film. Probably a great year for wine.
Even though, what?
I don't know. People say that like, 2003 was a great year.
Who knows? It would be over 100-year-old bottle of wine.
It probably leaked out of the cork.
Probably gross.
Well, it might be gross, but it leaked out of the cork, as we learned from San Antonio wines.
We did. Those are some good wines.
Side story.
Della Rosa.
Yeah. Give us wine, San Antonio.
Yeah.
Wines.
Come on the podcast anytime.
Is that your new thing? Just anything you like?
Yeah.
You're like, Best Buy.
Yeah.
I bought a thing there. Come on the podcast anytime.
What's the wine I like when we go in there? They always have it. Chocolate bar?
Chocolate something.
Della Rosa chocolate bar, I think is what it's called. So yummy.
So yeah, until next time, the next movie we see.
What will it be? We don't know.
It's up in a tree.
I got nothing else.
I don't know how to end this yet.
No.
Outro music.